Welcome back to The Average White Guys. My name's Alex Haynes, one of the owners of A Squared, and we're here to turn those likes into dollars. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I am super excited to have the one, the only, and real in video, if you're watching in person. That's right, Justin Scouten, and he could be yours now for only 10 easy payments of $1,499.99. That's right, you can get a plushie of him to hold and cuddle at night. It may or may not show up your door, but we will still take your money. Say hi, Justin.
How's everybody doing tonight? I'm Justin, LW Properties, Community Real Estate Services. And you could actually see me now blush when he gives his intros.
I'm excited. And I, too, have ordered the Justin Scouten plushie. I'm excited to have that at my door. I may be the only one who has it other than his actual wife. She gets a real version. I may be, or not be jealous about that. So what are we talking about tonight, Justin?
We are going to be talking about a subject that may be tipping the scales in the wrong direction.
Tipping the scales?
Tipping. Yes, we're actually talking about tipping, not as in cows like we have here in the farmland here in Vacaville, which is Cowtown. But no, we are talking about tipping as in our services.
Yeah,
Waiters, waitresses, massage therapists, our baristas, I guess, if you want to say.
As soon as you said massage therapist, I was like, what type of things are you tipping for? That's a whole different question and different subject we are not touching, and they should not be touching either. We're going to get canceled. Anyway, moving on. So
when you bring up that subject, yes. No, we are talking about a regular massage.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So tipping, as in
not a happy ending massage.
But you could give us a happy ending by hitting that like button right now.
I'm glad you went in the right direction there. But yes, I was saying, though, the scales may not go in our favor because this is a touchy subject depending on who you are talking to.
Yeah. If you've ever worked in the industry of service, you 100% will die on this hill that everyone should tip you 45 to 50% because you don't make enough money as it is. Would you agree? Have you ever worked in a service job?
I have. Actually, I was a waiter for a pizza place when I was first in high school and a couple years out of. So I understand the want and the need to get the tips because of the fact of you're getting paid minimum wage and that's not enough to make a living off of.
Yeah.
So I definitely have the empathy for it, no matter what. Mm-hmm. But I think nowadays what I think is getting me so frustrated and why I kind of brought the subject up for discussion is every app you have, you go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
And even for a $2.99 coffee, I don't know, how much does a basic coffee cost?
Definitely more than $2.99. It's been a while.
For a basic one?
Dude,
I don't drink coffee.
Well, if you get drip, I think you get it for like $5. But like, I think I went to Starbucks the other day and almost passed out when it was like $11 for a drink. And I was like, what are you putting in my cup?
Well, I get that for the frou-frou frappuccinos with caramel icing and everything else.
Let's not judge what I drink in my unicorn sparkly drink. We all have our needs. Thank you very much.
I'm just saying your basic cup of coffee. How much is it there?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So let's go $4.
Or $5, yeah.
Should you be tipping even 50 cents, $1 or something for that service? And so that's kind of what brought this up. And although this is coming out after the holidays, it's that time where you maybe start tipping your hairstylist if you go to a hairstylist, or those service professionals that kind of wait for this time of year to get tips.
Well, and there's now benefits for those who are getting tips because federally they're no longer taxes on tips, right? And so up to some crazy amount, like it's a lot of money. 40, 50,000, something like that. I don't know the numbers.
I think only strippers hit that, but okay.
Once again, you too can tip your strippers. I don't think it's called tipping though. I'm pretty sure you just throw money at them, and I don't know how that works. I've never been to one, so I seen it on TV and movies. I can't imagine. I should stop talking about this. Moving on. So I think you and I were talking off the podcast about we both get frustrated because every time we turn around, some tablet's asking for 15, 20, 30, 50% tip, 35% tip because you ordered a sandwich that you pick up and they just turn it around and expect a tip for hitting a button. Like even self-service stuff.
Well, not only that, they're charging you a service charge because you're using the app, which is actually easier for them. So the
credit card processing charge and right? So I think this is delicate because I was raised to tip people based on how the service went. Now, this is outside of California I was raised. In California, I learned that is not how people tip. There's an expected flat tip you should give no matter what. Anything less than that is considered a diss or disrespectful. No matter if the service was bad, that's how I was told when I came here. I was like, oh, is a thing. And I've definitely seen that, which kind of blew my mind. I was like, well, if they have bad service and you don't tip them, tipping is above and beyond. Because if it was a cost, then they would just charge me for that.
Yeah.
But that's not the case here. But hopefully this podcast reaches beyond California, right? So just when we're talking about some of this is coming from a California experience mindset, right? Now, luckily, I've traveled the world, and I have a kind of wild worldview on what that is. And the rest of the world, a lot of the world doesn't do tipping. They actually won't take tips. It's considered a faux pas, or there's my word of the day. It's considered bad manners to tip because you're telling them the poor and they need extra money. So they think it's the other way, right?
Okay. Yeah, I know. I went to Australia now about 20 years ago, and every place we went, there was no tips, and they were telling us the same thing. It's like, no, don't tip us.
Yeah, that's considered
even though
charity.
I went to we went to a nice dinner because it was our anniversary the one time I was in Australia. And I went to not the waiter, but somebody else on the staff. And I said, hey, is it typical here to tip? And they're like, no, don't do it. And then they're like, hey, if you want to, I'm sure the waiter is not going to say, no, I won't take your money. But on the other hand, they were saying, no, it's not expected. If you leave here, there will be no other ideas of it.
Right. Now it's a different expectation, different world, quite literally. I don't think it's necessarily wrong to tip. I think tipping is great. I like tipping as a reward for someone who does good or above board service. You get that extra attention, you get extra, right? That's kind of how I looked at it. And there are expectations. So I don't think anyone here would expect to tip someone at McDonald's. I hate to call them out, but if I'm going to McDonald's, I'm not expecting to pay a tip. It's fast food. Even if I go through a drive-through, I'm not expecting to get hit up for a tip.
Yeah.
Right. And that used to be the case, in my opinion, with Starbucks until recently. Now they're asking for tips. Now I knew for a while, and coffee shops are weird because sometimes baristas would have tip jars out. With the inclusion of more apps and faster paying, the ability to upcharge and ask for a tip has become easier. I think that's part of this.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason they put it on the actual apps, though, is the app makers get a percentage of that tip.
I'm sure.
So that's why they want to put it on there, because then they're getting a percentage of whatever that whole sale is. So that's one aspect of it. But then again, I mean, I'm favor on the side of not tipping more often on certain things. Like whenever I go to a restaurant, 20% is what my standard is. Sometimes I'll go down to 12 to 15 if it was just piss poor. But even there, I'll even try and give some tip, right?
So that's very California. So if it was bad, I was raised where they don't get a tip. Like you did bad service, you don't get extra money.
The one reason why I find, like in restaurants, now if there's nobody in the restaurant and I'm getting horrible service, then you're right. I'm probably not even going to leave a tip because you have no excuse.
Yeah.
But if you go into, I'm saying Applebee's, Chili's, I don't know if that's in your state, but if Applebee's, Chili's, you go there on a Saturday night, they've got way too many people, way too busy, not enough staff. The cooks are maybe not getting the food out well enough, and they are overwhelmed to where like somebody called in sick.
Yeah.
You don't know some of the things that are going on to why you're getting bad service. Well, they're trying their best. They have a friendly smile. They may have missed getting your Coke filled up a little sooner than they may have missed something on your menu. That's where I still say it's worth giving the tip.
I think both of you and I, at least because we both worked in service industry, we can gauge usually when that's happening. You and I can walk into an Applebee's and go, oh, they're understaffed and our waitress looks like he's having the worst day in their life.
Yeah.
They're about to be in tears. They needed a cigarette break 3 hours ago and they started their shift an hour ago. Like we've been in that situation where like, is it over? No, I just started 5 minutes ago and I want to cry.
Yeah.
That's where we go to the cold room and cry. You cannot not show weakness. So we've been there, and I think you and I can recognize that, and we're going to give that tip because the service we got actually was above and beyond due to the situation.
Yes.
Right? Oh, you actually came back and filled drinks. 100 other people, and you're the only person working. You get a tip.
Yeah.
You worked extra hard. You came back. I didn't expect to see you ever again, with or without my food. Like, so I get that. But I agree. You know, there's nobody there, and the waiter disappears in the back room and doesn't come out to the end of your meal. You're like,
yeah. I know there are some younger generation, and I say this because I've had friends when I was younger that would do those joke things of putting maybe their tip underneath a glass of water. Or, you ever seen that? No. They're rude. They put the glass upside down, so they got to get their, you put on a plate or something like that, so their tip gets all wet. and it makes a mess when they pick it up because they were jerks.
No, I didn't do any of
Yeah,
that.
don't ever do that.
that
I'm just
sounds
saying,
awful.
even if you have bad service, you don't need to mess with them that way.
Yeah,
And that's
no.
just
Yeah, there's a lot of.
and that's going above and beyond what the subject
Yeah.
is. But so one of the things where this is why we're hesitant on this conversation.
Oh, I'm
Because-
100% sure we're going to get canceled after this episode. No one's ever going to.
There's sometimes I'm sure we have people that disagree with us. Like I tip the lady who does my hair.
Sure.
I tip her on a monthly basis. I get my hair cut once a month.
That hair, I mean,
Right?
you got to tip her. It's just
locks are
it's
just
just
beautiful.
amazing,
yes.
man.
With that though, I tip her once a month.
Mhm.
And I think it's a decent amount. I don't know what's good or bad for tipping somebody that, takes a half an hour to cut my hair. So it's not worth $20 because my haircut costs me $30.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, I don't give anything extra at Christmas. And I know a lot of people will do that. They'll come in with the wine, they'll come in with gift baskets and things like that, which is great for them. But I'm just like, I just don't do
mind
that.
my shifting look because I'm like, wait, that's a thing?
I
I'm
see.
like, well, I tip during the service or after the service.
Yes.
I'm not coming back to give you a Christmas gift. We ain't friends like that. I mean, even if I'm friendly with you, but there's a level which I'm going to start giving gifts to people.
And I don't find it wrong if somebody wants to do it, but it's just sometimes I go, is that the expectation? Is my hairstylist, because I'm going to actually see her tomorrow, I'm kind of going, it's Christmas. Is she expecting me to give her some kind of Christmas bonus gift? I don't know. I've never asked because it's an awkward conversation. So again, that's why I was like, man, this is interesting to me, what people think.
Yeah, I would.
We'll put that in the comments.
Yeah, I'd like to know. I'm like, are you like, there's a thing where people, my dad does this, which is weird. And I've heard other people do this. So maybe it's not weird, but people will tip their delivery person like at Christmas. They'll like give them a gift card or thank you for your service. And I was like, I was a little shocked at that. And then I asked a really interesting question. And my dad was surprised I asked it. I was like, you know your delivery person? He's like, well, yeah, it's so-and-so. I was like, wait, the same person does the deliveries? Like, yes. I was like, that's odd.
And I think that's the difference. Maybe it's between like the locations you're at as well. Because if you're probably in a rural, that was hard for me to say.
Yeah.
I said it right though.
Yeah.
It did not come out
You're the
best.
rural juror.
Yes. But they always get the same person, and maybe they go above and beyond. If they have that package, instead of putting it in a box, they go put it at the doorstep all the time. So those type of things, I think they learn the personalities of them, and I think that's good. But here in California, at least in the area where I'm at, I think I have a new mail person every other day.
Yeah, like I've seen 4 different people potentially the same day when people draft Amazon boxes.
Yes.
And I've definitely may or may not have gotten someone fired because they didn't want to deliver the box and they saw there was a gate and they just didn't deliver. And I've had to call up and go, I'm watching you leaving. They didn't reach out to me. They should have a thing to open the gate. They didn't open the gate. And I'm saying they tried and they didn't. They just literally just slowed down and sped up.
I saw a gate. No, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think those are the certain times where, it's okay. I mean, it's never wrong to give a tip no matter what. It's just more the fact of, is it on an average for the average person who's wondering, is this the right time to give the tip? And that's always the thing that goes through my mind.
So there's certain things. Let's go back to like, I expect to tip at a restaurant. I don't always expect to tip at all services, right? I expect like my hair, that makes sense. But like someone comes to paint my house, I'm not giving them a tip. I'm paying for that service. Well, recently we did something somewhere and they asked for a tip. I'm like, but I paid you. We talked about ahead of time. I know the pricing. I came, I paid for that pricing. I got my service. What's with the tip request? Oh, we threw it in there because in case people want a tip. This is not a standard thing for the industry to do.
Say what it is, what the service is?
I don't want to because
okay.
it would give away what it is.
Okay.
But it was just a service. Let's just call it a service.
Yeah.
And it was really odd because I'm like, no one in this industry would tip. This is not a normal thing.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, everyone asks for a tip. I'm like, that's not an okay reason to do this.
Yes.
That you are the problem. This is why people hate you all right now. It's like I offer marketing services. We know this because in my introduction, I said what we do. If I turn around and ask for a tip, people look at me like I'm crazy.
You do a good job, you get more business. That's the way I kind of see it.
I already charge quite a fair amount. Not so expensive, but definitely not cheap for what we do. I shouldn't be asking for a tip. The tip is, I did a good job. I keep you for another month. I did a good job. You talk about me. That's how it works. Not give me 15% more. That's insane.
Now, Here's where I think some of the
It could be a price tag too, though. It could be like after $1,000, I'm not wanting to pay a 15% anything on a tip for $1,000 plus.
But there are some services where you might want to, again, if you're establishing those relationships, and I'm going to I don't on this next one, but has service. If you have somebody that goes above and beyond for you, is always doing maybe certain things, is, something blew over in the wind, they're picking things up, they're going above and beyond, and you've actually established something. But nowadays, it's one of those, hey, text, I'm going to be there tomorrow. Great, thanks. Service is done. Here's your bill.
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't tip.
Yeah, I still, it would be that relationship thing you said. Like if that person went above and beyond, always they're like coming out and chasing mice with their bare hands. I could see giving a potentially a tip. More likely, I'm going to call up the manager of that company. Go, hey, so and so is doing a good job. You should give them a raise. I'm going to pass that tip requirement onto the onus of the person who pays their bill. I'm not going to tip them. I'm not going to give them a Christmas gift. I'm not even going to give them a Christmas card. That's just me, though. I'm a Grinch. So that's just me.
Yeah. No, I'm more on that side as well. Now, two different things, though. One is I'm going to go back to the apps, but I also want to talk about if a person is the hairstylist themselves and own the business, should they actually get the tip?
Ooh, so that's a good question. Let's start with the first thing. Let's go to the apps. Yeah.
So me and one of my employees, we get a Jamba Juice every Wednesday. We get this one in the morning, and I use the app to order.
So full of sugar, so deliciously unhealthy. Go on.
It's greens and ginger. It's
and a huge dose of sugar. Yes, go on.
I don't know it's pretty healthy. And once they've gotten to know us there, they are actually even making it before I go ahead and even order it on the app, because I order it on the app. When she's coming in, she goes ahead and picks it up. And a lot of times it's like when she's walking in the door, they're like, oh, hey, Marnie, here's your stuff.
Right.
And so we've kind of established that. And so it's just one of those where I tip now $1.
Oh, that's nice.
Just to say thank you for, acknowledging us. She knows the name, things like that. And we do it every week. It's there. It's ready for her. When she comes in, the straws are on top, ready to go. I think those things are okay in the app.
Sure.
But if I'm just going to go to Jersey Mike's, like I think we talked about earlier, and I'm ordering a sandwich that I go and pick up, and it's just, there's no friendliness to it, then they were jerks the last time, and you don't know if they're going to be good this time. You're like,
well, sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I'm tipping because I haven't gotten my food yet. I don't want them to spit into my food. Like, are you watching this? Tip, wait for the food. Okay, good. We can now pay for this. So I've definitely, I've been put in those positions, and a lot of people have. And I think that's the other reason we don't like it, is some of us feel as hostage. This is a meme and a joke. Hey, would you like to give $1 to save a dog? Right? And like, well, no. Are you sure? No. Are you a horrible person? Yes or no? Well, no. Are you sure you didn't give $1 to save a dog? No. Okay, the dog's dead now. So you hate life. And the person on the microphone goes, this person just didn't give $1 to save a dog. Now that dog is dead. And like, they make a big deal. It's like, fine, I'll give you the dog. Too late. Dog's dead. I did. And he's like, but that's how it feels sometimes. Like they shame you into like not doing stuff.
Well, that's the problem, I think, with like your Uber Eats or those type of things, is you really want to give the tip first to a point. Because if you don't, and they're picking, because a lot of times I've never done it, but I've heard that they pick up like, no,
the Uber thing. No. Yeah, you're actually right.
I've never done the delivery, so I don't know how it actually works on their end, is where I'm going with.
And so I know about this. So I actually done that. But
so let me give my comment, and then you can give it as a delivery person. I've heard that if you don't give the tip, and they're picking up 3 or 4 different orders and delivering, and they're like, well, you're going to be last. I don't care if yours is cold now. And so you're kind of going, so I want to give the tip up front. But then I've also given the tip up front, and I know I was the last person that ordered because I had like onion rings and they were cold. So I'm like, well, what the hell did I just give you a tip for cold onion rings?
Because they picked up your order. So crazy. When I did this, I would never do what some people do. So not like anybody else. In general, the problem with things like Uber Eats and all these other places, it's entirely dependent on who is doing the delivery. Because you have amazing people who work hard, and they are the backbone of these systems, and they do a great job. Unfortunately, you have bad actors like in any business, right? And because there's so many of them, and because it's unregulated, unfortunately, it's a lot of bad actors. And so I've seen stories, and I know stories, because I did Uber Eats at one point, I did Uber driving, I did Lyft, I did all of them. And so there's a lot of stories that got passed around, and people would brag. So if you tipped, your order got picked up. Period. Whether you were first or last, well, you may not tip the most, right? But your order at least got picked up. There was a story of like, I walked in and they're like, "Are you an Uber driver or pick up? We can't pick up this order. Any chance you could pick up these other 10?" Well, it's not on my thing. I don't think I can. Well, someone chose not to pick them up because none of these people tipped. So they just didn't pick any of them up. They canceled them all. And so they've just been sitting there for 10 or 15 minutes because they refused to pick up stuff because the people didn't tip. So there are like, you got your stuff cold because you tipped. You say it that way, but it's reality. And then you've heard stories, people eat the food or like do something to the food because they didn't see a tip, or they like leave notes of how dare you not tip. And I'm like, you're paid to do a job. Tipping is because you do that's the issue. They expect, and some people said some crazy things. I've seen people say, "Oh, if you're not paying 50% tip, then I'm going to eat your food, or I'm going to do something." I'm like, are you insane? It's already super expensive. They already upcharged the food. So you expect another $25 to deliver, a $50 burger? Because it's like $50 now to go get, like, for a family, it's $100. You expect another $50?
Yeah, on delivery. On delivery, I just do 10% on average.
But people are saying that's not enough. If you're not doing 25% or 30%, how dare you? Right?
I guess I'll just have to order cold food then going forward, so it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, well, for me, I did the math. It was cheaper and faster for me to pick it up.
Yeah.
I'd go, well, what is it? How long is it going to take me to get an order? There's a whole nother discussion about delivery, right? Take an hour and a half, 2 hours to get food. It's going to be cold, and it's going to be 3 times more expensive. Or I can just go to the drive-thru, order it. I'll be back in my house 35 minutes, and the food will be hot.
Yep.
And it will cost me less.
Yep. So that's why I brought that up, because there's the different discussions there, especially in the apps. But it all comes down to that, I think, of how the service was. Unfortunately, on the apps, if you haven't ordered from there, you don't know how the service is going to be.
You don't know. And they expect you to pay up front.
Yeah.
Now, there's certain things like I live upstairs I'm on a 2-story apartment. I'm upstairs, right? And so I will tip anyone who does Walmart runs or does delivery if there's a tip, because I know you're going up steps. And I know it's at least more than one bag. Yeah. Usually I do my grocery shopping in one go. There's like 10 or 15 bags, and it's not unheavy food. It's meats and all this other stuff. So I'm automatically going, yeah, I know that's worth $10 to $15 for you having to schlep my stuff up the stairs.
Did you ever see I think it was TikTok, YouTube, it's probably on all of them, but this one delivery driver ended up having to deliver like 10 Costco waters.
Oh my God.
The person didn't tip them.
Ugh.
So they still delivered it, but they said, "Are you going to tip me on this?" And the person said, "No, I don't have to." So he says, "Fine, I'm going to go ahead." And he brought it back to Costco because he's going, "I'm not delivering these 10-ass waters and humping these things around, and you're not going to give me a tip." Yeah. There was so much controversy going back on it. And I'm kind of going, I can see both sides of it. But on the other hand, I'm kind of like, dude, that's kind of rude to be ordering that many, and that much weight and not do something. But
it's a hard,
you don't have to. So you knew as a driver that the tip is not expected.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in there that says you have to give a tip. And that's the only thing that is the other side of it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying sometimes you lose out on a job. How many times have you bid a job and you're kind of going, dude, this took me 10 hours where I bid it for 5 hours. I'm like, you can't go back to your customer now when you bid it and say, I want more money.
Especially after you've charged them or had them. Yeah, we had a job like that recently. Worked out well for us. We got more work out of it, but I underbid and I dealt with it and it was fine. And we lost money. That's the game sometimes. And I just got yelled at by my other business partner, and had to take my lickings, and it came out of my paycheck. That's the reality of the situation, right?
Couple bleeding lips right there. Yeah.
A little bit. I slapped around a little bit. couldn't walk outside. Had to cover up my face. Had a black eye. I twitch now every time he raises his hand.
So the next thing we were going to talk about then was if an owner, if they're an owner of a company, like where I go to get my haircut.
Sure.
I talked to a few people and they're like, well, I think tips are more for an employee. Like if a hairstylist works for the company, then I would give them a tip because they've got to pay for their station. They got to pay for all these other things, as to where the owner of the company that's their job.
Is the owner also cutting hair?
Yeah, the owner, yes, we're assuming the owner is cutting the hair.
Well, so that changes the whole thing. So for the person who's getting the hair cut, they may not know she's the owner, right? Being an owner shouldn't disqualify you from making extra money. So if you're doing the service and it's typical to get paid on a tip, just because you happen to own everything and you made a smart decision, doesn't mean you shouldn't also get tips on what you do. That's customary. And this is like, we talked about this too. Like, there are certain things that's expected. Like, I don't know who decided to start tipping in a haircut place. I'd like to go back in time and talk to them and slap them upside the head. But it is customary to tip on getting your haircut. Whoever is cutting your hair, you tip them. It's very customary. Whether that person's the owner, the manager, or the newbie, like, you tip them something before the service. It's expected. Now,
so here's the thing. Here's another example of it, though. So I get massages every once in a while, and I have the person come to my house.
Okay.
And with that, though, that it is them, their company, right? So they're giving me a price of, let's just say $50 for the hour. So you're kind of going, well, why am I giving a tip on that if that is their $50? I mean,
I wouldn't give a tip, but I don't give tips to. I did not.
My sister was in the massage business, so I will always promote that aspect of it because.
Right. So I don't know enough about that, but I've always been.
So what's the difference, though?
So it's expectations, and so there's something to be said about customs the public has decided and dictated that no one actually knows. Like, no one knows why it's okay. If I said, hey, does McDonald's serve food? Technically, yes. Does a sit-down restaurant serve food? Yes. The only difference is one will take that food from the kitchen and put it to your plate, and they will fill your drinks, and theoretically, that is better service, and therefore, you should tip that waitress.
Okay, what about McDonald's, who brings it out to your car when they
Yeah, exactly. So theoretically, if you really want to break down, no one here would expect to tip McDonald's.
Yeah.
Fast food doesn't get tips.
So the question I was going with, though, let's just assume everybody tips massage therapists and everybody tips hairstylists, just in this scenario.
Sure.
Okay. You're saying that when that massage therapist came over to my house, they gave me a price of $50. Should I tip or not? My thought to it, to a point, is you set your price for me.
Yeah.
You're the owner of the company. Why am I giving you a tip on top of that?
Depends how it was presented to me. I'll be honest. So,
do you ask, oh, is that tip included? So then that's kind of the rude thing, because you're going.
So this is why apps make it easy for people to tip, because they give the option, right? Yeah. So this is the benefit from a business owner. I would never ask for a tip for our clients. That's how I run my business. That does make sense for us to. It's not appropriate for our business.
It's not that kind of service business anyways.
So there's that. But if it was, it'd be a different conversation. And I would 100% leverage an app, so I'd have to ask, because it's a greasy question. An uncomfortable question to ask for extra money. I don't think anyone likes doing it. So in that aspect, if it was presented like, hey, do you want a tip? Well, depending on how I paid the person, it would make sense. If I pay ahead of time, the likelihood I'm going to tip is low. Okay, afterwards, and it's presented to me, the likelihood I'm going to tip something much higher. This is customer journey. So if I wanted to increase revenue, I would charge afterwards, especially when they're relaxed, they feel good, might be a little more likely inclined to tip afterwards, because I had a great time, right? If they're doing something above and beyond, let's say they have a studio, but you asked for them to come to your office. Oh, yeah, I can do it for X amount of dollars. Well, once again, this is the difference between you and me, is we're talking B2B transaction, and there's expectations of not having to tip. And that's how it was presented. Someone owns a business. I'm an owner. I've made a deal with them for pricing. They come and give me the service. That's a transactional, slightly different than service-based, because we bought a product packaged as a service. If it's when we go to a location, our minds shift, because now we're going somewhere else. We've had a good service. The person giving us the service technically usually isn't the owner. Therefore, we think they're underpaid and feel bad. So we bonus them out because they did such a good job, right? Because they've earned it. They did a little bit more, did a little bit extra. So we tip them because we know that's going into their pocket. Gets a little bit weird, like you said, when it becomes owners and businesses and transactions.
Sometimes hairstylists come to your house too. So, then is that the case of, if they set the tip at 50 or the cost of $50?
I'm going to say this. I'm going to have a ton of people offering to cut my hair at my house now. So I tend to pay about 3 times more for when someone comes to my house and does my hair than if I go somewhere else. On average, I will pay $50 to $100, because I usually know the person and I want to bless them. and make them feel good, and I will overpay significantly for a haircut.
Yeah, I think that's funny because overall, in the business world, my mind goes to that they have less overhead by doing that.
Oh yeah.
So why are you tipping them more to come to your house when they don't have the cost of rent, they don't have the cost of PG&E, they don't have the cost of water?
Usually the people that are doing it who are getting into it aren't set up like the other people to have a steady stream of people.
Okay.
And I know them, they're like, hey, I'll do your hair, and it's extra. It's on the side. So I'll give them a little bit more as a, hey, this is a gift. Usually it's people I know, friends, they kind of want to get back into it. And I think they have a skill, and I want to encourage them.
Okay.
Part of it's relational, right?
Yeah. And I'm not saying either way was wrong on that conversation. I'm just kind of going, it is funny to kind of see the differences because of that fact of like, you have no overhead. What?
Right.
Why should
I will say also from this aspect, for me, them catering to my schedule and doing it at my place while I can do other work. Oh my goodness. There's a reason I don't mind paying a little bit extra, because that is.
Are you?
So I actually will do business calls and like
say, okay, how are you getting your haircut while you're getting a haircut and doing business calls?
I can do speaker stuff depending what it is.
Talent right there, my friend.
Or it's just easier. It's nicer. It's in my own place. I don't have to go somewhere, right? I have to worry about it. Now,
I'm just more impressed that you can get a haircut and do business at the same time.
No, definitely.
Okay.
I never shut up, man. Come on, man. We worked out together. I talk about work.
Now, if you're selling them the whole time they're cutting your hair, that's one thing.
Definitely done that too.
Okay.
I'm running marketing companies, baby. What are you doing how's your social media looking? But no, I think it's going to be individual, personal, right? So how do we feel at the time? Why are we doing what's meant to be? But
yeah,
really, I'd love to know from our audience, how do you feel about tipping? Are you for it? Are you against it? Are you sick and tired of it? Tell us in the comment section below. Another way, best way to tip us other than buying that plushie of you.
hit the like button.
Yes. And what else?
Share.
And last but not least, put a comment in the section below.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 out of the 3, man.
All right.
2 out of the 3.
I never say it, so I was good. I was happy.
I'm so proud of you. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we are the Average White Guys.